Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am going to talk about House of Roots and Ruin by Erin A. Craig, which was released already on the 25th of July, so like over a month ago. But I have the arc and I thought, well, let's just post a review anyway, because why not? So that is the sequel. We would also call it the companion to House of Salt and Sorrows, also by the same author, which was released a few years ago and got super popular and did really well. And the first one basically follows these sisters that live out on this island. They live in this old house and are daughters of the Duke, and a lot of them have died and they feel like they are cursed. And then in the beginning of the book, another sister has just died and our main character is trying to, like, I guess, investigate if this was maybe a murder instead of a suicide, as I believe. And then we get revelation kind of about like the reasons behind all this, because this is definitely like something weird going on there. But then the author was really good at making these weird things make sense, because it was supposed to be weird. And I enjoyed this a lot. The atmosphere here is immaculate. We have like salt and water and sea. And the reason I'm talking so much about this is it's important to understand what the author did here a bit, to like appreciate what the author did here in this one as well. Because in this one, we actually set 12 years later. We follow the young sister of all the sisters in this house. There were like how many of them? Verity, who, yes, every time I see her name, I do think about the book by Colleen Hoover, let's be honest. But Verity had a lot of things, I was going to say, happening to her. I was going to say things going on with her in the first book. And in this one, she doesn't remember anything that happened, which I thought was a very interesting thing to start off with. Because obviously it has been a few years between these books. Not everyone is going to reread. So it does build itself on the weirdness that happened in the first one. But in theory, you don't need to read the first one to read this one. You get a bit closer of an emotional connection to them. And obviously you know more about who these sisters are that she talks to, because else you don't have any like connection to them whatsoever. But it does really well stand on its own as a own book. You can read this as a companion. I would read this because it's a good book. But the atmosphere here, the author is very good at writing atmosphere. That was a weird sentence. Because as I said, this is wet and cold and salty. The series is called Sisters of Salt. It is set by the sea, it is stormy, it is, as I said, it's wet. It's watery. It sounds maybe a bit gross, but it's true. She's very good at creating this image where you kind of like are cold and breezy. And this one does a very different atmosphere, because we have our character going out on this journey. She's going to this house to paint this portrait of a son of a duke, and she realizes this weird stuff is happening in this house as well, and it is very different from the first one. It doesn't have the same aspects of, like, say, what's going on, but it still managed to keep that soul of the book it had in the first one. But the atmosphere here, it's very, I was gonna say whiny, planty. It's more down to earth. We are like, I was gonna say, we are not exactly shoveling dirt, but it feels very like earthy. It's a lot about like herbs and flowers and plants and wines and roots, which is what, you know, is in the title. And it even has roots on the cover, which again, I feel like the author manages so well. You know, here's like salty and sea stuff, here is rooty stuff and like earthy stuff. And it has a lot to do with the plot, actually, like herbal tea, etc. It's like the calmness of the book and like what has affected them, etc. And I just think that the author manages this so well. Like the contrasts here are really great. The atmosphere, as I said, what she uses, what is around them. And obviously, I guess like the titles and the covers, they are done on purpose, obviously, to, I was gonna say, represent what's in the book, because obviously they came after. But I just think that the author has done such a great job of like representing these two sides, because it feels so different, but at the same time done in the same way. And I just thought that was really interesting. That is what I was thinking about a lot in the book. The mystery itself, it's also very fun. I feel like it definitely came with reveals you don't expect. As I said, it's very different from the first one. It doesn't have the same answers by any means. And I've seen people compare it to like known kind of stories that like, it's like when you go to a house and it's weird stuff going on there. And now I cannot remember a single one of those classic stories, because that's not where my brain goes. It says, comes a gothic masterpiece about doom, love, menacing ambition, and ghosts that haunt us forever. I think it does it really well. It is a thick book as well. It's over 500 pages, but it went so fast. And I really wanted to keep reading because I really wanted to know what's going on. You can't really trust anything. You don't know like what the story's going to give you. And again, I think it did such a good job of all this. I think Verity is a really great character to follow. I think she has many different sides to her that I enjoyed. And I think the writing is, I was going to say, not exactly simple, but it's pretty straightforward. It's not like very flowery or anything like that. But it manages to do what it wants to do so well. And I think it's a very cool and thought out true story that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I would give it like a very strong 4-star. It's not the kind of book that will be, for me, a like 5-star new favorite forever. But now, like, when I saw what the author did in this one, compared to this one, and I read this right before because I knew I was getting the arc, I feel like I'm just like, I don't know, more amazed by it. I don't know why. It was just something about the atmosphere I just enjoyed so much. Because it manages to be like, what can I say, old-fashioned? Like an old, like, mystery. I was going to say going into madhouse, but it's not like that at all. It managed to do that so well. But like, same time keeping it fresh and new. And it doesn't feel like you're reading an old book. That was such a weird thing to compare to maybe, but I hope you get what I mean. And then we have the ending. Because I was a bit confused. I had to reread it twice. Because I was just like, what? I don't understand. Is it coming more? Because I'm not exactly saying it's a cliffhanger, but it is a jaw-opening ending. And I was like, I was kind of suspecting it actually for a moment. And I was like, oh, like, what are we going to do about that? It seems like this is also a story that can be written on and on. We can just have different, I was going to say, tropes of mysteries, different places with different sisters. Like, it definitely could work. You know, we have like the island, salty, isolated, haunted, cursed house place. And here we have like young girl going to fancy house with dark mysteries going on trope. That's a terrible description, but you get what I mean. And I feel like we can continue. There is more to explore. And I want to see more about these characters. What is my main complaint though? I talked a lot about the atmosphere and the plot. I really enjoy the kind of plot we got. What can I complain about? That even with the twists, I guess, it also did feel a bit predictable. It was a bit like, when it played out, I was a bit like, I wanted even more. I feel like I wanted it to go even deeper, even darker. You feel like it holds itself a bit back for me. And I feel like it felt predictable, even though I was also surprised. It doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense to me. Like, I felt like I wanted it to be more than it was. So there's that. There was also this complicated relationship between Verity and Camille, who is one of her sisters, that I'm not going to say more about in case you haven't read House of Salt and Sorrows. They have a complicated relationship, and I feel like that wasn't exactly resolved, but it was like, and I was like, okay. So it was there, but it wasn't enough of it. And I kind of missed that sister relationship we had, because a lot of like the books depended itself on like this huge family with lots of siblings, and then we're not like that at all. And obviously a big part of the book is Verity being isolated, but I kind of missed that part. So that's another like complaint, I guess. And I wanted more like, I was going to say, delve deeper between her and Camille, because there was definitely like stuff there that I was going to talk about. And it did, but I also didn't. And I don't know. And then also, there is a romance in here that I didn't care about at all. I didn't really get why they liked each other at all. I'm not going to say more, but I was just like, they loved each other, and it'd been like 3 days. And I was like, what? That was also a bit weird. I thought at first that there was something weird going on there. I'm not saying it wasn't. No spoilers. But I thought it was definitely more weird going on there than I thought it was. So I was just like, oh, we are just here now. And that felt also a bit like, but I guess whatever. Maybe more that I like didn't love. I'm not saying it's like terrible and it needs to burn, but there's like stuff that I was like, but it was still a great book. Like, I still was so intrigued. I want to keep reading, as I said. There's always stuff in a book that's a bit like, but that doesn't mean that I cannot enjoy it overall, you know, the whole story. I'm now curious to see if we will get more Sisters of Salt. That's what I want in life. I need to know what the ending meant. But it's a bit like a gothic book, as I just said. So they tend to have a bit of an open ending. So yeah, maybe that's all we get. We will never know. I thought it was very fun. I would very much recommend both of the books. It's like books I feel like is very enjoyable, like in general. If you like a bit of mystery, if you like very good atmosphere, and like books that keep messing a bit with you because it's like you don't know for sure what to believe, and it was like that in the first one and this one, then I think like they're good books. And yeah, I guess that's what I want to say about House of Roots and Ruin. It is, as I said, already out, so just want to post a review. It is very floppy, this arc, which is fun. And you should see me soon in a new video. Leave vines or roots down below if you enjoy this. And you should see me soon in a new one. Goodbye!